ଆପଣ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବେ, ମୁଁ ଦେଖିକି ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବି, ଏଇଟା ଦେଖି ଏଇଟା ରଖ, ଆପଣ ତ ପଏଣ୍ଟରଟା ନେବେନି ଏଇଠି, ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି।
Good afternoon all. Welcome to this session. This code is MMPO006. Subject is material management. And today we are going to discuss block 1, unit 1, introduction to material management. Now let us see the top 10 countries with the highest GNP, gross national product. We can see India is coming in 7th position, having 2.64 trillion American dollar. USA, China, Japan, first 3. So what is this GNP? The wealth of a country is measured by its gross national product, the output of goods and services produced by the nation in a given time. So goods, as we know, these are all physical objects. There's a car, aeroplane, mobile phone, steel, aluminum, all are goods. Services are the performance of some useful functions like insurance, banking, or education. These are all services. So what are these sources of wealth? This is the amount of goods and services. As we know that in any industry, manufacturing industry, raw materials comes in, it gets processed, and we have output. This processing, this production function is needed to transfer resources into useful goods. So many stages from extraction of raw material to final products, there are many stages. So at each stage, we add value. We add value means we are creating more wealth. Say for example, ore is extracted from the earth and sold. So wealth is gained. Those who continue to transform the raw material will gain substantially more. But see, Japan is a very small country comparing to India. If you see area-wise, it is around less than 1/10 of India, and population also 1/10. But if you see Japan is in number 3, India is number 7. So next we'll see the 5 M's theory of management. These are the 5 M's theory of management: men, money, method, machines, material. So apart from money, we'll see in the slides that the material cost is 50%, half or more, right? So that is why the material management is important. And material management, it directly links with production transformation process, and it contributes to GDP or GNP. So now we'll introduce materials management. So materials management is about moving the materials within an organization. So what materials means? Materials can be basically defined as those objects or things that are to be moved in order to generate products. Materials has been one of the 5 M's, as we have discussed, that a manager has at their command. The other beings men, machine, methods, and money. Materials can be in the form of raw materials, paperwork, messages, or information, etc. So materials can be both tangible and intangible. Many of us think that materials means it is tangible, but no. This information, paperwork, and all, it also includes material. So this materials is tangible and intangible. The better is the material management in a company, the better is the health of that company. Then we'll discuss the functions of materials management. Materials can be categorized into mainly three broad groups. First is purchase materials, next is in-process materials, and last one is finished goods. Purchase materials like raw materials, components, spare parts, items that are used and do not appear in the end product. That means suppose we think there is a manufacturing unit. So it needs raw material. It needs raw material from suppliers. Right? So these are mainly purchased materials. These may be raw materials, these may be components. Components means, suppose you take an example of a car manufacturing company, say Maruti Udyog. Maruti Udyog is not manufacturing A to Z all products. They manufacture some engine parts and other rest of the items they purchase. Take for example tires. Maruti is not manufacturing tires. Suppose it is taken from MRF. So for MRF, this tire is finished product output, but for Maruti this is a component, right? So these are all purchased materials like raw materials, components, spare parts. So for suppose for take the example of steel industry, the raw materials are like iron ore, coal, etc., etc. So then we have second group. It is in process materials, or this is semi-finished stage materials, work in process or work in progress, WIP. And lastly is the finished goods. This is the final product that is ready for customers. So this material management is a function that integrated purchasing, storage, inventory control, materials handling, and standardization in an organization to achieve its objective. What is the objective of the organizations? To reducing the cost. So in material management, our objective is reducing the cost. See, as we have discussed, suppose we are a manufacturing unit. We purchased raw materials and components from suppliers, and we process these raw materials to get final product, and this final product we supply to customer. So whatever things we are doing, the processes are from raw material to finished products. So these processes are under materials management. So it is integrated purchasing, that means purchasing function, storage, then inventory control, means there are two aspects of inventory control: how much to order and when to order. So these are the aspects. Then material handling, standardizations, etc. So every organization wishes to maximize its profits by maximizing its production and minimizing the cost of production. So here our objective is to minimize the cost of production, that is reducing the cost. This is an important point. The average material cost in a manufacturing setup is 50 to 70%. As we are discussing in the 5M theory of management, this material cost is 50 to 70% of the total expenditure, which further goes up if one takes into account the inventory cost, storage, waste, and other factors. So here the material cost is 50 to 70%. So this material management plays a significant role in the total production system. So it is therefore imperative for an organization to have a sound material management with an objective to reduce raw material cost, control inventories, ensure uniform flow of materials, and maintain good relations with suppliers. This subject, materials management, it started in early 60s. since the amount of money incurred on material is higher, as we have seen in the previous slide, it is more than 50%, then the cumulative amount of machines, men and methods. So one has to give high importance to the materials. So it is the most feasible area that can offer opportunities for cost reduction of cost and improvement of profits. So in a nutshell, we can say that materials management is about making available the right material in the right quantity at a right price and on the right time. Right? Again, material management is about making available the right material in the right quantity at a right price and on the right time. Next, we'll discuss the functions of materials management. So the very first function is materials planning and control. As planning, we know, first we have to plan out our work and then we have to work out our plan. So planning is must. So that is why in case of materials management also, we have to plan. Materials requirement lies at the core of successful materials management. So this function works out at the material requirements in any manufacturing process. What are the requirement of the materials that previously we have to plan and we have to procure. Then we plan, then we purchase. Purchase from whom? Purchase from supplier. So these functions identifies the sources of supply, does market research, call tenders and select suppliers, negotiate with them and thus make available the raw material. So now raw material comes to our unit. Next is inventory control. So this is responsible for the location and storage of materials so that they remain available at the minimum cost and quickest time. So here we have two aspects: when to order and how much to order. Because this inventory management, it has direct impact on the cost. So later on we'll study this. Next is storekeeping. So here this is responsible for the receipt and issue of the material. We have to maintain the record. The material are stored in such a way that the minimum handling is required and waste is minimal. Because if the material handling cost is minimum, then the cost of the product is also minimum. Next is material handling. So it aims at minimizing handling and provision of equipment for handling materials. So this function is crucial for minimizing space requirements, effective distribution, and for providing better working space. So as we know, these cranes, these conveyor belts and all, these are all material handling equipments. Next is warehousing. So this is responsible for the storage facilities for the materials, weighing facilities, material handling equipments, material distribution facilities, firefighting instruments, etc. Next is standardization and simplification. This selects the item of great demand and sets the standards for quality. Suppose we have different qualities of material, we keep separate qualities in different sections. Raw material, sizes, performance of any product. Last one is the organization and appraisal of material. So this helps in effective functioning by proving smooth flow. It provides coordination and avoid delays and wastages. This now we will discuss the various costs involved in the management of material. The first is the cost of material. We are buying, a organization buys raw material or components, spare parts from supplier. So the amount of money the organization pays to the supplier, this is the cost of material. So cost of material, the basic cost of material that has to be paid to the suppliers. the basic cost. Next is the purchasing cost. So how we purchase the material? We have to plan. Who will plan? There are some staffs, employees. So they have some salary. So this is cost and staff. Then they will give tender. They will give tender in newspapers and all. So that is also incur your cost. Then stationaries is involved, postage, processing supplies, receiving, inspection. So these costs are coming under purchasing cost, right? So that is an important point. Cost of material is different. Purchasing cost is different. Cost of material means how much we pay for the cost to the supplier. But here, this is the process of purchasing. This is the purchase cost. Next is the inventory carrying cost. Now we purchase, we receive the material, we keep it in the inventory. So we will incur some cost. So what are the costs? Storage cost, because building cost is involved, cost on staff, securities and all. Then interest on capital, because inventory means we are holding working capital. So there are some working capitals, it is blocked, etc. Next is packaging cost. Packaging cost is the cost incurred on paper, plastic, metal foil, metal and wood containers for packaging the material. In some cases, packagings are very important nowadays. Next is transportation cost incurred on moving the goods to different desired locations from time to time. We'll study. There are various types of transportation. We have to select the appropriate transportation. Next is material handling cost incurred on handling equipments like cranes, conveyors, belts, etc. Next is waste during production. Cost incurred on holding scrap, obsolete stock and their disposal. Next, we'll see the management of flow of material. Because we need smooth flow. If the question is what do the material management function does, the answer is that from the time of materials enter the warehouse of the organizations from the suppliers, the role of material management starts and gets going till the final product is obtained. That means we receive the material from the supplier, get processed, converted into final products. So this includes our flow of material. The interrelated activities that are carried out to achieve is to systematically sequence each group. Management of this systematic flow of material is called materials management. Management of this systematic flow of material is materials management. The flow of materials is made through a set of activities. Now we'll see the activities. The very first activities, as we have discussed, is planning. We have to first plan out your work and then we'll work out our plan. So planning means setting the goals, indicating the sources of finance. Next is scheduling. Requirements, specifications, quantum and delivery schedules. Suppose the customers have different delivery schedules, so we have to maintain that. Next is purchasing and procurement. We have to select the supplier, vendor, then we have to have the contracts with the vendors and all. Next is the inspection and quality control. So here we'll check whether our quality is conforms to the desired quality or not. Next is the stores and inventory control. It determines inventories, maintenance, and upkeep. Next is material handling and distribution logistics. So it is controlling flows, distributions, and shipments logistics. So here the table we have seen in the previous slide highlights the importance of integrated systems and dependence of function models for decision making. Now the organizations have multidimensional in nature. So total materials management concept evolved to address this dimension and avoid conflicting objectives. See, if we see an organizations, say manufacturing organizations, let us divide manufacturing organizations into three sections. One is purchase, another is production, another is distribution. So what is the objective of purchase section? So their objective is they will have plenty of products and they buy in bulk so that they will get quantity discounts, so that there will be no hindrance in production. But if they buy bulk product, so it will come to inventory. So inventory means inventory storage is there, inventory cost will increase and working capital will increase. So it will have an impact on the profit, on the cost. So our total and suppose last one is the purchase, production, distribution. Suppose distribution was the distribution department strategy is to distribute the material to the customer at the lowest rate. But suppose customer wants urgently, there is less than one truckload. These distribution departments may avoid giving to customers. So here we may lose this customer. So our total, each department's objective is different and total organization's objective is different. So here the total materials management concept evolved to address this dimension and avoid conflicting objects, as we have discussed. So total material management helps in establishing accountability so that response to a problem is quick and appropriate. The material functions are accomplished in more coordinated ways with the help of this integrated approach. So this is materials logistics management, MLM. This slide is a bit edgy. So here, this is supplier, right? Supplier, this is your manufacturing unit. This is industrial enterprise, and this is customer. So from supplier, raw material comes. As we have discussed, these organizations we have divided into three sections. One is purchasing, another is manufacturing, another is physical distribution. So from suppliers, the value added material flows in this direction, from suppliers to customers. And from suppliers, material comes to purchasing department. So from purchasing, it goes to manufacturing, the final product. So from physical distribution, it goes to customers. So we have some interfaces there, which we will study in the next slide. So this MLM, it is started in United States of America in 1980s. This Bisworoop in 1984 further described the three interfaces that MLM covers, which we are going to discuss. So these are physical distribution interface, the manufacturing interface, and the purchasing interface. So let us see. So first is the physical distribution interface. Just I'll have some water. Okay. And the first interface is the physical distribution interface. The physical distribution interface means customers and manufacturing. This customers and manufacturing. This is the physical distribution interface. So here interfaces with customers and manufacturing. So there are various perceptions involved in this. Perception one is demand management. That means from customers we used to get the demand, because if we know the correct demand of the customer, it will be easy for us to manufacture. Then scheduled distribution. Next is postponement. Postponement means we will postpone the activities up to the last, right? So it to reduce the cost. So first is physical distribution interface. Next is manufacturing interface. Manufacturing interface is the interface with physical distribution and purchasing. So here we have three perceptions. First is master schedule management. Master schedule management means we will plan for the manufacturing of a product. Next is JIT concept, just in time. As the name suggests, just in time. That means it reduces all the unproductive work. We don't, when it is needed, we just produce and give it to the customer. Next is flexibility. How flexible we are. The last one is the purchasing interface. It is the interface with manufacturing and external supplier. Our company, organizations, and external suppliers, vendors. So here we have supply management. Right. Next is scheduled requirements. If we scheduled the materials and already given that this is our requirement to our supplier, so it will be easy for our supplier to produce material and give it to us. Next is the last one is the responsiveness. So there are two in supply chain management. One is responsive, another is efficient. So efficient means cost is the criteria. Responsiveness means quick service is the criteria. So from the point of view of the physical distribution interface, the demand management coordinates and modifies how customers order products in an effort to reduce uncertainty and simplify transactions. Scheduled distribution aims to fulfill customer order in a short span of time, and postponement carries a planned delay. This is a planned delay of an activity as long as possible until a profitable preposition is achieved. So this is about physical distribution interface. So next is manufacturing interface. So here we have master schedule management. It resolves the conflicts between manufacturing and marketing, as it is the point where overall requirements determined by forecast, customer orders, back orders, and physical distributions are collected. Next is just in time. Is a Kanban, Japanese concept, is bringing inventory to zero level. So that means just in time means you don't have any inventory, but previously you should have the information, because they say that information can replace inventory. So if you previously you know that this is the amount of finished product the customer wants, then you don't have to keep inventory. You make the product and give to the customer. So this just in time we can just one example. Suppose saying that the same examples of Maruti car. Maruti is not manufacturing tire. Maruti is purchasing from say MRF. Suppose in a particular day, Maruti wants to decided to manufacture 1,000 say Wagoner car. So for 1,000 Wagoner car, how many tires it will need? People used to say 1,000 into 4, but now it is 5 because spare. So that particular day they require 5,000 tires. Suppose for Maruti, the assembly line starts at 9 a.m. So before 9 a.m., the trucks from MRF will come and it will directly go to the assembly line. So that is one type of just in time. So it reduces the inventory models like reducing lot sizes, load leveling, quality control, etc. etc. The last one is flexibility. It should be achieved by using pull system. One is supply chain management, you might have read. One is push system, another is pull system. So pull systems, computer-based planning and control system. So achieving flexibility is important to manufacturing as it will reduce manufacturing activities unless or otherwise specifically asked for. Then last one is the from the point of view of the purchasing interface. So supply management identifies the manufacturing trends and initiatives effective purchasing for long-term competitive advantage. Scheduled requirements expedite purchasing. They must be specified so that suppliers provide exact lead time. Lead time means the time difference between giving order and getting supplies. This is the lead time. Exact lead time information, and purchasers provide exact requirement information to the supply network. So this can be achieved by employing a suitable integrated data processing system. The last one is responsiveness of the supply network, identify frequent changes in customer requirements and product life cycles. So here Bisworoop concludes that increased usage of computer-based information systems will be required to achieve coordination and improve performance towards simultaneous attainment of target objectives. So in this slide, we'll discuss the interfaces of materials management. So when we say that materials management contains an integrated process of material flow in, through and out of an organization, we give some indications that materials management has interfaces of two kinds. One is internal, another is external. So we'll discuss now internal interface, next external interface. So these are the various interfaces of materials management, internal. So very first interface is market forecasting. So here we forecast the demands to determine production on the basis of existing expanded facilities, equipment, processes, manpower, and materials. Because in a manufacturing unit, what we need? We need to manufacture product. So what are the products and how many products? So that from market forecasting will give, and they will give these schedules to the organization's manufacturing unit. So that this month, your quantity of production should be this. So that is market forecasting. So now market forecasting is over. You know that this month you are going to produce this, so your production starts. So here materials flows flow begins before the production cycle, runs throughout, and continues even after production, ensuring uninterrupted flow of materials to feed the production process. Smooth means the processing part, production transformation part. Next is the finance. So materials budget is affected by non-availability of finance, as we know. So we have to take care of that. Next is inventory control. So materials management has a critical role here, as availability of materials and access to physical supply has to be assured. Because as we have discussed, that inventory means working capital. So if we are spending more on inventory, our working capital increases and it has an impact on the cost of the material. So inventory control is a significant part of materials management. Next is inspection and quality control. So it is a close liaison with materials management is required, as it is also runs throughout like materials. So now coming to the external interfaces. So first is materials handling and physical distribution logistics. Physical distribution means from organizations to customer. So materials management ensures that materials are physically distributed at the right time with a minimum of handling, because we need to reduce the material handling cost. Next is consumers or customers. These are all external entities. So material management interfaces with customers rarely, but it happens sometimes when you are producing huge product and directly suppose Thermax is a company which is manufacturing compressors. So they are directly selling to say NTPC, National Thermal Power Plant. So here you have customers as direct contact with the manufacturer, because these are not standardized products, these are customized products, industrial products. The last one is suppliers or other companies. So materials management is responsible for keeping a close liaison with outside vendors and other companies seeking trade relations. So evaluation of supplier performance should also be done. So next is this materials flow process. So here we will see the materials flow as well as information flow. See, suppose this is the production unit. This is the production unit. So the vendor, here is the vendor and supplier. Let us first see the material flow. From vendor, supplier, the material, raw materials and other comes to the receiving and inspection sections. So here this section will receive the raw material and they will inspect. They will see the qualities and all, and quality and quantity. Then if it is okay, then it goes to the store. If there are some problems, they will inform to the purchase sections, and purchase sections will inform to vendor. So here these are all information flows. The material flows are in dotted line and the information flow in the straight line. So here the materials flow from vendors to receiving section, inspection, it goes to stores. Then it goes to production department. So production departments, it convert the raw material into the finished goods, right? Then it will go to customer. So how it will go to customer? Via transportation. This is your logistics management. So this is the materials flow. Suppliers to stores via receiving and inspection, to source to production center, and to production centers to warehouse or customer through logistics. So you can see this dotted line are the material flow. Now the information flow. So how the purchasing takes place? Because we plan that we are going to manufacture this. So this is our quantity of raw materials and other components needed. So this purchase department, they figure out what is the item needed, then they give it to tender and all, they select. So these are all communication between purchase sections and vendor, right? Next, it receives and inspected. If there are some queries and if there are some mismatches, also it will, this receiving and inspection sections will coordinate. So here also you have information, right? Then it goes to store, store production planning and control. So this also, it has information with store. And this sales and marketing, actually the forecasting is done by the sales and marketing team. That suppose in this year, in this particular 12 months, you have to produce this quantity. So this information, they give it to production planning and control. So this production planning and control, they see, suppose there are 1,000 raw material needed. They see what will be the what are the items available in store. So here also you have information. Then inventory control. So you have something in the inventory. So the stores department will see what are the available, what are the materials available in inventory department. And inventory also, we have direct information flow between production and manufacturing. And this customer have direct interaction with the sales and marketing team. So the sales and marketing team, they get feedback from the warehousing or customer. So according to this, they forecast that this will be our requirement, and this they give it to the production and planning control. So this is about the materials flow of the process. Now, just we'll have a recap of the subject what we have discussed. We have seen that the importance of material management for creating the wealth of a country, because the gross national product it depends the wealth of a country, and how materials management is significant. Materials management has a significant role in creating the wealth of a country. So it is about moving the materials within an organizations. So what materials means? So materials can be basically defined as those objects or things that are to be moved in order to generate products. And we have already seen the importance of material that out of these 5M, apart from money, the material contributes more than 50%. It is 50 to 70%, and in some cases it is more also. So the material contributes more than 50% of the money involved in the production. So that is why the importance of materials management in any organizations. So the materials can be divided, can be in the form of raw materials and information, right? So materials can be both tangible and intangible. Because the information flow also, it is a part of materials. And the better is the material management in a company, the better is the health of that company. The health of that company means the profitability of that company. It depends on the smooth management of material. So the functions of materials management, it is divided into three broad groups. One is purchased materials, another is in-process material, and another is finished goods. Purchased materials means like raw materials, components, spare parts, and items that are used and do not appear in the end product. That means we get these purchased items from supplier. So first we have supplier, next manufacturing unit, next customer. So whatever we are purchasing from supplier, these are all purchased materials. That is the inbound logistics. As we have discussed, this is raw materials, components, spare parts, etc. And second is the movement of material inside the organizations. You have work in process or work in progress, WIP. Next, it is converted into finished goods that are ready for customers. So the definition of material management goes like this. It is the integrated purchasing, storage, inventory control, materials handling, and standardization, etc. in an organization to achieve its objective of reducing cost. So our main objective of materials management is the smooth flow of material so that we can reduce the cost. If we reduce the cost, it has direct impact on the profit of the company. So how we reduce the cost? We integrated purchasing, storage, inventory control, materials handling, and standardization. So every organization wishes to maximize its profit by maximizing its production and minimizing the cost of production. So here this M, our materials out of these 5M, these materials, the average material cost in a manufacturing setup is around 50 to 70% of the total expenditure. So which is a significant. So which further goes up if one takes into account the inventory cost, storage, waste, and other factors. So here it is minimum 50 to 70%. So if we are managing only the material part, we are managing the more than half of the cost. So that is the importance of materials management. So here is objective is to reduce material cost, control inventories, ensure uniform flow of materials, and maintain good relationship with suppliers, because we are converting raw materials, converting raw materials into finished goods, and the raw material we are getting from suppliers. So we need to have a good relationship with suppliers. We have suppliers relationship management also, because in time of crisis, suppliers helps. So it is a subject started from early 60s. So since the amount of money incurred on materials is higher than cumulative amount of machines, men and methods, so one has to give high importance to the materials. So it is the most feasible area that can offer opportunities for reduction of costs and improvements of profit. As we might have seen the ABC analysis, right? Or vital few and trivial many, or this Pareto law, 80 by 20 law. That means vital few and trivial many. So if we are managing materials here, we are managing around 60% of the money. So that is the importance of materials management. So here we can say that materials management is about making available the right material in the right quantity at the right price and on the right time. So and there are the functions of materials management. First, obviously, is the planning. So our sales and marketing team, they give that this is the plan. This will be the forecasted demand. So according to that, we have to plan. So materials planning and control. So materials requirement, what are the material requirements, what are the raw material requirements, what are the components and all. So material requirement and lies at the core of successful materials management. So this function works out all the material requirements in any manufacturing process. Next is purchasing. Planning is over, then we go for purchasing the raw materials and all from whom? From vendors or supplier. So we have to, so this function identify the sources of supply, vendor selection, does market research, call tenders and select suppliers, negotiate with them and thus make available the raw material. So tender also, they have different rules for different departments. And so some department they go for L1 tender, lowest. Other, they don't see cost. Cost is not one significant factor. They see the reputations and all also. Next is inventory control, because inventory means inventory is needed for the smooth flow of material, but inventory means you are holding working capital. So working capital means if you put more working capitals, if you block more working capital, then it will have a direct impact on the profitability of the company. So there is a trade-off. How much will keep? There are two aspects of inventory management. One is how much to order. One is when to order. How much to order is your EOQ. EOQ stands for economic order quantity. There are many costs in inventory, but there are major two costs. One is your ordering cost, another is your carrying cost. So in inventory control, we take the total cost as ordering cost and carrying cost, and we decide that one EOQ, if we give that much of amount, then the total cost will minimize. Suppose, say, in our household, we require 5 kg of sugar per month, or per year 60 kg. So if we give 60 orders, then our ordering cost increases, but our carrying cost decreases. We need a small jar, 1 kg jar, to store the material. But in an other hand, if we place one order per year, if we place 60 kg of sugar per year, then your ordering cost decreases. One order, ordering cost decreases, but carrying cost increases. We need to have a big jar or big stainless steel material for storing. And more store means storing cost increases. You need a bigger house. You need insurance and all securities. So this is the importance of inventory control. Next is the storekeeping. So this function is responsible for the receipt and issue of the materials. The materials are stored in such a way that the minimum handling is required and waste is minimum. Suppose you store the finished product close to the customer, right? Close to the transportation systems, which minimizes the cost. Next is material handling. So this is aimed at minimizing handling and provision of equipment for handling materials, as we have seen that the cranes, conveyor belts, etc. So this function is crucial for minimizing space requirements, effective distribution, and for providing better working space. Then warehousing, this function is responsible for the storage facilities for the materials, weighing facilities, materials handling equipments, material distribution facilities, firefighting instruments, etc. Next is standardization, because we have different qualities of product, different standards of product, right? So this selects item of great demand and sets the standards for quality, raw material, sizes, and performance of any product. Next is the organizations and appraisal of materials. So it helps in effective functioning by providing smooth flow. It provides coordination and avoid delays and wastage. So the cost involves in the material management. So first is the cost of material. So whatever the material we have purchased from the supplier, that cost only. Suppose we purchased X million ton of coal from Coal India. So X million ton of coal into the price, the basic cost of material that has to be paid to the suppliers. Next is the purchasing cost. So it's incurred the cost of the staff who are engaged in purchasing section, the tendering cost, stationaries, postage, etc. So this is purchase cost. Cost of material is different. This purchasing cost is different. In inventory, they call it as ordering cost type of thing. Next is inventory carrying cost, the cost incurred on storage. You need a store for storing. It includes building, cost on staff, insurance, securities, etc. And obsolete also. Suppose these new technology items, if you keep some items, you keep it in the inventory, and new technology, the technology changes means it is a huge loss. Then is transportation cost. As we have discussed, there are various types of transportation. So we need to select the transport cost, the transport medium, then material handling cost, as we have discussed in cranes and conveyors or what. Then wastage during production, we need to minimize the wastage. So these are the costs incurred on holding scraps and all. So here the activities also we have discussed. One is planning activities. First is obviously planning activities, setting the goals of the company, indicating the resources of finance. Next is the scheduling, requirements specification, quantum and delivery schedules. Next is the purchasing and procurement, your supplier selection, supplier contracts, etc. Then quality control, confirming quality, stores and inventory control, these inventory costs and all. Then material handling costs. So this is the MLM, materials logistics management. Now we can see that from suppliers, the materials, the value added materials moves in this direction to the customers. And this is our organizations. We have three sections. One is purchasing, one is manufacturing, and another is physical distribution. And the information flows generally, it goes in all direction, but from customers to suppliers. And there are three interface. One is physical distribution interface. It is a interface with customers and manufacturing. Second is the manufacturing interface. This is the interface with physical distribution and purchasing. And last one is the purchasing interface, manufacturing and external supplier or vendor. So that these are the perceptions. So we have internal and external. We have the internal interface: marketing, forecasting, production, finance, inventory control, and inspection. These are all internal interface. And material handling, physical distribution, consumers, and suppliers. These are external interface. So this is the materials flow process. The material flow is represented by dotted line and information flow in straight line. So from suppliers, the materials goes to stores via inspection. From stores, it goes to production facilities. So here we convert raw material into finished goods and it goes to the customer. So this is the material flow. And the information flows vendor from purchasing sections, and suppose sales and marketing, they forecast, they take information from customer, and warehousing, they discuss it with the production and planning section. So information flows, as we can see, it is from all departments, right? And physical flow is in this direction: vendor, supplier to store, then production, then customer. Thank you for attending this.